Good evening. Since it is now 6 p.m., I will now call the Boquet Valley Central School District's August Board of Education meeting to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? It's located on the wall to the right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Belzile, would you please take the roll call for attendance?
Tom Robert.
Here.
Paige Cotter-Saltzman. Here. Paul Fenton.
Present.
Darlene Hooper.
Present.
Sarah Coleman. Here. Deborah Spalding.
Here.
Jason Welch.
Here.
Sadie Burgess. Here.
Okay. Attendees, if you have not done so already, would you please sign in so we have an accurate attendance record? The sign-in sheet is located on the table by the door. Thank you for your cooperation in this matter. Next, we have a KAS presentation. Dr. Meyer, would you please provide us all with a little background information and an introduction?
Yes. So we intend on removing some carpet at the mountain campus, and there was some concern around there having the potential for there being asbestos tile underneath the carpet, and some questions that the board had with the removal process. So we invite Aaron from KAS in here to answer those questions for you. Aaron, if you don't mind, you want to talk a little about KAS, what you guys do?
Yeah. I'm Aaron Roth. I'm with CAS, we're a local environmental consultant firm, the branch manager for Plattsburgh. I've been an asbestos inspector for a couple of years, school districts, written management plans, including what you guys have here, formed inspections, surveillances, triennial inspections, done for a number of school districts here. So happy to answer your questions. Whatever I can on this stuff.
Does anyone board member have any questions?
What did your inspection entail?
Yeah, so originally you have some inspections that date back to the 80s here, right?
Okay.
So that was when the original regulations for school came into place at Harriman. And floor tile tested, the carpet and the subsequent mastic had not been tested. So our inspection included the carpet testing.
Nothing in that area where it is now?
The carpet mastic tested out as having less than 1% asbestos. So when you're looking at a HERA, New York State asbestos regulations, they regulate materials that have greater than 1% asbestos. These have less than 1%. So the only real regulations that apply are OSHA regulations, and that would pertain to worker protection, safety of the individuals that will be moved. And it looks largely at work practices. So in this case, carpet mastic, you'd be pulling up a carpet, you wouldn't want to grind on it, dry sand on it, things like that, that could create dust, create asbestos fibers in the air and expose people. So.
Anyone else?
From both customers?
Pardon?
From public aspect?
May the public ask questions?
Your meeting.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not familiar with the log. It's been a long time. Obviously, architects rep in the 90s when we encapsulated that carpet.
Yeah.
Is the tile hot or is the tile not?
The tile is asbestos.
It is.
So there's nine by 9 floor tiles.
Okay. When you're removing carpet, I'm assuming there's going to be a considerable amount of dust and dirt generated, so it's going to be virtually impossible to run micron filter tests on the air quality in that.
Well, right. It's not regulated by a HERA or any of those kind of things. So there isn't a requirement for air sampling during. If the tile was being removed, that would be a different animal. The floor tile itself would require air. Right. So the process that I've kind of gone over with them, how to do it, you pull back the carpet. If tile starts going with it, they have to lay it back down, and then it's asbestos. You can't proceed that way. But if the carpet mastic comes off, leaving the floor tile undisturbed and any subsequent mastic below it undisturbed, that's okay. These regulations look at the disturbance of asbestos containing materials.
Okay,
So if the tile begins to lift.
Lay it back down,
You get half the
time
carpet,
out.
half the carpet up in the room, and now you started to encounter that condition. This is probably not your fault, but I'm curious as to what the game plan is. to have that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think what you'd have to do is you'd stop and you would take the seam of that.
Major incident. And you pull it from there.
Well, right, you would have to replace that half with new tile and you'd have the old one. And, you know, if kids aren't around, you'd have to get an asbestos abatement contractor,
can I just ask,
Aaron, you guys also do testing and inspections for disturbances to quantify them as a third party inspector, right?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
I assume if we had a situation like that, we would have Cass do the inspection and quantify it to determine whether or not we need to abate it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, right. So, you know, carpet's coming up, the floor tile is coming up with it. They could contact me. We could look at it. Generally, we're talking about non-friable materials. So the way asbestos works is non-friable materials are things that you can't reduce to a powder by hand pressure. Okay. Far less risky and potential exposure than, say, a friable material like a pipe insulation, or if you knock into it, you can release fibers. That's a real problem. In this case, if the tile comes up, it's coming up substantially intact. You lay it back down, and then you need to have it faded.
Dr. Meyer, sorry, I'm sorry, Darlene.
I just wanted to know, will you be monitoring this process? Will you be
It
here?
isn't required. I mean, we're obviously happy to work with the school district and collect their samples if that's the desire of the school district, but it isn't required by the regulations.
You have no concern after 30+ years of you backing on the carpet, grinding on the surface of the asbestos tile, and any dirt that might have migrated down, creating a major surface area in those multiple classrooms.
For sure.
Start bringing up fibers.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
going to be almost impossible to detect because of the contamination of the dirt.
No, I mean, I think that as with anything, there is some level of risk, but I would consider this to be a low risk, you know, and generally, I would recommend you take this up and then you're not dry sweeping, you're mopping this stuff up, right? Working with anything wet on the surface so you're not generating any kind of emissions. There's no asbestos fibers that are becoming airborne in the cleanup of any dirt, dust, stuff that you're finding.
So it's best to actually dampen the carpet to minimize airborne.
Well, in an ideal world, you'd use almost like a mastic remover or, you know, an adhesive remover. But with tile and mastic underneath it, you don't want it to penetrate the floor tile. So that's the tricky part is that.
I'm just thinking it's something to minimize the dust level.
Absolutely. No, but I do agree. I mean, you should pull this stuff back. There is going to be a fair amount of dust and stuff under there that should be wet popped. Right?
Okay. And, will have the people who are doing the removal and installation been trained in this procedure if there is an incidental discovery?
If there is an incidental.
Yeah.
They should have asbestos awareness training. So that's the level of being able to identify asbestos containing materials and know to stay away and not disturb those. So in this case, if the tile, they should have direct, you know, guidance that if the tile comes out up, that they're required to lay it back down and to, you know, contact us.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Need for respirator and fitting tests for the respirators during this process.
For the workers,
Yes.
I think with the manual removal, you're going to be okay in that. You know, and again, no grinding, no dry sanding, anything like that, that is going to generate those asbestos fibers that could be an exposure issue, right? You know,
Anyone else have any questions?
You asked two of mine already.
Oh. Okay.
I do have a follow-up more for Dr. Meyer. Has the contractor been selected? The bid process is done. Do we have a timing of when this is going to occur? You may have shared that already.
Yeah, so our intent was to do this over the summer, but we are, you know, running out of time to do that. So we might be able to get some of that done over the summer, but would likely lead into some of the breaks depending on, when that happened. But yeah, I mean, we working with, Mr. Rice, when I asked you for your assistance, who is the gentleman that we're working with?
They're using the reinstallation of the carpet tiles, Westport Ford coming on.
And who's doing mobile?
The removal, we were gonna do in-house.
In-house?
All of the employees here have been trained. Even the summer singers. We're now done.
We could discuss some more, but it might just be a good idea to see if Cass has some, or some additional awareness training and some guidance that we can have the employees that are doing the removal sign off on that to ensure that they fully understand the hazards and what the procedure should be.
I think that's a
Sounds
good idea.
different than what we do where I work at the mill when we have any kind of work around asbestos material or anything else.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm doing that for another school district next week, so I'd be happy to do an asbestos awareness. We could, focus that training even specifically on this project.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything extensive, 15 minutes. And say this,
Yeah.
here's your hold points. If you run into them, here's some of the hazards that you need to be especially considerate of.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you, Jason. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
And then the other thing I was gonna ask is, so then we'll ensure we'll have a time period after the project before the room is occupied by anyone other than those working on the flooring, right? I don't know what the right time period is, but you can probably, let the dust settle, literally.
Yeah.
I don't know if there needs to be an air movement plan or ventilation plan, but I'm sure they can figure that out as they get started.
There's best practices, and I think, with the level of concern, it would be reasonable to put a piece of pollen, at the entrance, some kind of weighted or airlock at the entrance and stuff, and make sure that it's adequately cleaned, prior to the recarpeting.
It's the best situation would be the summertime rather than trying to leapfrog during the school year from classroom to classroom.
Definitely ideal for, a period of time so that you could tackle all these classrooms and stuff. Summer's ideal, but an extended break, Christmas break or something like that.
You could do it in the Christmas break.
I would think so. I mean, depending on availability.
How many rooms are involved?
6 or 8.
We have 14 rooms in this building that have asbestos tile underneath carpet that was installed in the 90s. So out of that 14 rooms, we were going to go with a 2-year approach to try to tackle half. So the issue we run into with this building is there's students in this building all summer also. The summer program. That's why this summer we're going to try to get the upstairs done. Then the next year possibly put the students upstairs so we can work downstairs.
You think it's prudent to run a negative air unit set up during the removal, just as a secondary precaution to minimize any airborne particles?
Sure. I mean, again, as a best management practice, it's not a bad idea. I mean, for this level, perhaps even a fan in the door, or in the window rather, blowing out so that, you just have air entry with exhausting into the hallways or anything like that. That would be reasonable. Yes, asbestos abatement does require negative air machines. Again, we're not talking about asbestos.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Very,
And again, I applaud you guys for taking this serious. I mean, health and safety is a very real thing here. So I'm glad you guys.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 6, executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering the executive session to discuss number 6, the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or persons. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session? Thank you, Paige. Oh, Paige was
Paige
first. Okay, second?
Okay.
Tom, seconds. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. We anticipate being back in approximately,
Still hard to tell, but I'm gonna say 30 to 60 minutes would be my estimate there.
hopefully 30. We'll shoot for 30 to 60 minutes. Okay, we should be back shortly. Thank you.
Not gonna do it. Did they respect you? Okay, great.
Paige made the motion, Deb seconded it, and 7:15.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're back. Oh, not all of us. I guess we'll have to wait. Apologize that it took so long. It was unavoidable. Okay, we're waiting for Mr. Welch. Okay, we're waiting for one more person and then we'll begin. Oh, two. Sorry.
Josh, are we doing pre-K different? We're not having the ACAP this year.
Oh, it is, yeah.
It is? We don't have an agreement with the rental yet?
No,
we usually,
we didn't have an agreement in our.
no, we usually only have an agreement with ACAP in August.
Last year we did an MOS, but the agreement, I have to check the dates on it, but last year was just the approval of the agreement.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I guess we're ready to begin, back in session. Number 7 is the approval of the agenda and the minutes. We'll start with the approval.
So you need a motion to return.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, may I have a motion to return to session?
A
Deb,
motion?
thank you. And a second, Paige, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to number 7, the approval of the agenda and minutes. First, 7A, the approval of the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tom, for the second. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm gonna abstain because there's some things I didn't get to read through. So I want to just,
Okay, Deb abstains and motion passes. All right, and the second part, the approval of the adoption of the, yep, that's number, all right, approval of the minutes for the July 1st, 2025 reorganization and regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion accepted. Okay, moving on to number 8, 2025-2026 tax levy. Letter A, resolution confirming the tax rolls and authorizing the tax levy. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025-26 tax levy? Number 8A, resolution confirming the tax rolls and authorizing the tax level. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Second? Anyone second? Paige, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion 8A is accepted. Public comment. Our agenda offers 2 public comment sections. Opinions, ideas, and concerns that are offered by the public will be considered and taken under advisement. We have set aside 15 minutes period, giving the audience time to share their thoughts with us. Please raise your hand to be acknowledged by the board president. When called upon, please identify yourself, give your address, limiting your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to comment, make a comment? No, no comments? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, one, yes.
Megan Ostrowski, Lost Road, Mr. York. Dear members of the board, the parent community continues to hear about the removal of the principal. I'm here to ask for transparency, please. I do like to quell the worry among many of us. Under his leadership at Lakeview campus, educators and parents have seen measurable progress in academics, attendance, school culture, and family engagement, all which would be reckless to dismantle. Test scores have risen following the implementation of a curriculum that meets state standards, was voted in by the educators and adopted by the board. Chronic absenteeism has been reduced by 6% or to 6%, which is below the 28% national average. There are now clear disciplinary systems consistent reward programs and enhanced student of the month recognition to reward small improvement in candidacy. I'm delighted there for the surveys that helps get the documents that we have be confident to say anything. Weekly Friday focus letters, integrated staff appreciation, observed active social media updates, and events like parent breakfast, the walking bike to school, and field day family lunches. There have been teacher trainings, targeted interventions, and opportunities to address issues and concerns and find solutions collectively. Thousands of dollars in grants to support nutrition programs, literacy, and classroom innovation. For equity and inclusion, student voices are welcomed by the elementary student council and a safe environment for self-expression. Removing a leader with level of initiative and follow through without transparent, evidence-based justification and failure to meet improvement plans would be an abuse of power. It undermines the ethics a board should embody and send a message that personal agendas outweigh student success. I ask the board to prioritize their commitment to serving the best interests of students and educators, and can we please have more transparency regarding any progress made towards the council project? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate it. Anyone else have a comment? Mr. Jackson?
Yes, I wasn't going to make a comment, but I think that owed to myself too, regarding the pending carpet removal. I realize that there are levels that are supposedly low at this point. As far as I'm concerned, no level is appropriate, but that's a legal issue. One of my major concerns is the fact that we're going to go through the expenditures of man hours, purchase of new material, installation labor costs to do that, monitoring, etc. And when we're all done, we're right back to where we were before we started, what we had covered up 30 years ago. If the anticipation is to come back at a later date, if the next capital project is approved and remove it properly at that point in time, so be it. But we haven't really gained anything in the process except spent money, wasted time. And if it doesn't pass at the next capital project, now we're sitting here with the dilemma and no resources other than what we currently have built up in reserves. But that would have could have done it this summer had we gotten out there at the proper time. And it's not that the board hasn't been brought up to speed on the appropriate times to get these things in the works. I think it's a foolish move to do this at this point in time. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Yes?
Sarah Cusack, I live in Westport. I appreciate the concern around the asbestos, the carpet removal and asbestos potential abatement, and the hazards come along. And as much as I don't like the idea of spending money now, that might, that we then might have to change whatever is happening in those classrooms later. As someone who is taught in those classrooms, having taught on carpet that is 30 years old, that is already deteriorated, has lots of stains. I think that there is a benefit to replacing these really disgusting old carpets for faculty and for students and for custodians. Just something that you can clean and it feels clean afterwards, and it doesn't have an awful smell just when you walk in the room, which I think is pretty hard to make 30-year-old carpets. I would say that and I don't know the exact cost to the district, but I would take into consideration the benefits of the people that are in those rooms every day for 7-8 hours a day.
Thank you for your comments. We'll take that into consideration. Anyone else? Okay, since there are no further comments, we'll move on to financials, number 10. Do I have a motion to approve 9A, 1 through 3? Oh, any discussion on it, first of all? Number 10?
You said that.
I said 10, didn't I? Oh, number 10. Number 10,
I'll make a motion.
financials.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Excuse me?
So we will be getting the
Oh,
warrant for the next meeting.
yes, I was wondering, we were wondering, actually, there were some, warrants that weren't included this time, and we were hoping that we would get them in a little more timely fashion in the future, if that could be possible. Okay, thank you. Number 11. Okay, CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations. Letter A. Do I have a motion to accept and approve the Committee on Preschool Special Education, Committee on Special Education, and the Committee on 504 Plan recommendations as presented? Motion, Jason, thank you.
I'll
Second, Paul, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion is accepted for 11A. Number 12, action items, consent agenda. Do I have, and first of all, is there any discussion? Okay. All right, number 12, do I have a motion to approve action items 11A through C6?
A motion.
Okay, thank you, Deb. As second? Thank you, Paige. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
The
Mr.
books haven't been prepared yet, but Mr. Meyer assured me we get them in within the week.
And,
They're in the,
you know, they're in the drive. You asked for a hard copy.
Okay.
The hard copies haven't been printed yet. 'Cause
So
you
some of us
we
have
haven't
a
got
problem with the
the
drive still.
What's that?
Like I'm getting some of my stuff, but not the other.
We
Yeah, and it's not in a folder.
we don't print them until they're approved.
Okay.
But they don't go to the printer until they're approved. So maybe I misunderstood your question at the beginning, but
Okay, are you opposed?
No, yes.
Yes, okay, one opposed. Any abstentions?
Yeah.
Okay, motion accepted for number 12. Number 13, personnel consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve items 13A through O10 plus the addendum? We add the addendum in now?
yeah.
Okay, 13A, 3Q, 13Q, and 13R. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Paige. A second?
I'll second.
I thought, you're going right through all of them?
Yep.
Yes, we vote on them all together, unless you pull them out at the very beginning. If you remove something at the very beginning.
I forgot you said that. Okay.
Excuse me?
Are you going through all the way to Q? You said, oh.
Yes, with the addendum as well. Yes, through O, right?
Through R. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
then the addendum was added on, right?
Yeah.
Through Q, okay, through Q, and then the addendum was the addition of 13A, 3, 13Q, and 13R, correct? Okay. So we had a motion. We did have a motion. We had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
Me.
Okay, one abstention, Mr. Fenton, and motion is accepted. Okay, moving on to number 14, policy. As recommended by Erie One Policy Services, approve the revision of policy number 5681, school safety plans. Is there any discussion with this before we vote? Okay, since there's no discussion, okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve the revision of policy number 5681, school safety plans? Motion?
I'll make motion.
Okay, Jason, thank you. Second? Paige, second, thank you. Do I have, is there any discussion regarding this policy?
What is,
Excuse me?
did we have this on a,
He didn't get it in dry.
it didn't come on a dry.
Okay. We are having problems with some people not getting the information, so we may have to have our tech person take a look at that. Okay. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Me.
Okay, Mr. Fenton abstained. All right, motion to approve the revision of policy number 5681, school safety plans was accepted. All right, 14B. First reading, the waiver of the second reading per policy and adoption of policy number 5685, maximum temperature for school buildings and indoor facilities as recommended by Erie One Policy Services. Do I have a motion to approve 14B?
I'll motion.
Okay, thank you, Deb. Second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Tom. Is there any discussion prior to voting?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What were the temperatures before, or was this not a policy?
It was not a policy.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? I have a question. I know this was written, this policy initially because of temperatures during the summer months, but will this apply to throughout the year? For example, the temperatures in
Yes.
Lakeview when they reach a certain.
Yeah, if it is, it applies all,
Across the board.
across the board, and he talks about the mitigation strategies, as well.
Okay.
So, yes.
All right, good. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion approved. Number 15, board discussions, old business. I don't believe we have any old business at this time, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Can I ask a question then, old business?
sure.
Will there be further cell phone policies, delivered to the, stakeholders? For the new plan that's going together?
What?
The cell phone policy that we're doing in the fall?
Yep.
Do we have a plan to reach out to all the parents and students previously?
To make them aware of the policy, so that's part of the handbook and, part of that initial, when we start, reaching out with the letters and things like that. Yeah, it will go out.
But nothing specifically just for it. I think,
It is a big change.
I think the cell phone,
It's a huge, yeah,
I'm super excited about it. I want it to happen. That's not my point. I just would like to ease the problems.
sure.
So I think if it's,
Like, could we put
it's
it on?
gotta be a little bit more than just the certificate.
Yeah. Yeah.
My students don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
It's a little bit,
Parents know that it's coming, but they're not quite sure what it
but they
involves,
don't know
the
how,
specifics. Yeah.
what are the repercussions?
Got it.
I agree. All right, new business. Future of Boquet Valley Central School District's facilities. Now, as we all know, the board approved the recommendations made by the Facilities Committee last April for new construction and renovation to be done at the Boquet Valley building. The committee determined that this was the best option available considering the size and conditions of both buildings and the associated cost factors. Plans have been submitted to New York State Education Department, and we are still waiting for approval before we can put this up to vote to the taxpayers. Since the projected date for construction to begin is fall of 2027, if the proposed building project is indeed approved by the taxpayers, we thought a discussion regarding the future use of these facilities should begin now. Now, I do want to dismiss a rumor that has been going around that we are trying to close the Lakeview building for this year. That is not true. Okay, it's simply rumor.
Okay.
There was a board member who was concerned.
There was a board member that requested to be put on the agenda. For tonight.
Okay, and when I met with you and I sent a letter, I said I knew that that would not be able to happen for this year.
So the email was sent July 10th.
From one board member.
From one board member to be put on the agenda. And we met on Friday the 8th, and your email was August 6th. So there was a little bit of time in there.
Okay,
where
but I do
there was
want you
some
to know
concern.
that that was not a discussion of the full board. We had not discussed that possibility at all. And when I did meet with Dr. Meyer, I did say that I knew that that was absolutely impossible to happen for September. So our discussion will be for the future, okay? We need to start thinking about that possibility now rather than waiting until just before it is going to happen. There needs to be a plan in place. Okay, so Mr. Fenton, since you were to be, would like to begin this conversation, since you had requested it, do you have something to add?
Well, no, of course, I was looking for September, but that's not gonna work. We
Yeah.
need a little change. But I think it's the only thing we can do. We have plenty of room here. The other school is in need of a lot of repair. Expensive repair. If everybody comes here, there will be plenty of room. There always has been, 450 students. You shouldn't have any problem. It may even reduce the tax levy as time goes along. But I think with today's changing world, we're not getting a lot of people in Elizabethtown or Lewis new that I'm aware of. So I think this is the time to do it. And if we can have it happen by next fall, that'd be fantastic. The kids would have a chance to get here, take the thing, open up the school and, in July or August, so they can come in, all the grades could come in and look and see where they're gonna be going and what they're gonna be doing. That would be it. That's my feel.
Okay, anyone else like to join in the conversation?
How would that benefit the students?
Excuse me. You can add that during the comment time. Right now, this is just the board discussion. Okay, whoever said that. I'm sure.
No, but Sarah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was this lady. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
How would that benefit the students?
How wouldn't it?
Trying to cram two buildings into one, for what purpose?
Well,
No, it's a legitimate question. How would that benefit the students? We're here as a school to educate students. We're here for the students. How would that benefit the students?
they would still be here for it. There'd be plenty of room.
How would
Okay.
going from two buildings to one building benefit the students?
Okay, I can speak to that, something that I was going to address. Personally, I'm concerned about the health and safety issues regarding the continued use of the Lakeview building. I understand at the end of last year, the roof was leaking again. We only replaced 2 portions of the roof. There are, as my understanding, there are 10 portions to that roof. So there will continue to be other leaking that will occur. The boiler has not been working properly for many years, resulting in excessive heat in some rooms and frigid temperatures in others. With this new law in place regarding the excessive heat, we cannot expect our students, our teachers, and staff to be subjected to room temperatures that are in the 80s which require coat or temperatures that require coats throughout the day. These conditions are not conducive to learning. So that is one reason why I think that we need to have a discussion, because I have spoken personally with many students that attend the Lakeview campus and many teachers, and there is a concern about the excessive heat in that building and the fact that sometimes the roof does leak, presenting water in the building, tiles falling down, mold developing. So I do think that there is a benefit for the students to do that. Anyone else?
Do you regularly, monitor the temperature in either building prior to this policy coming into effect?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, we'll probably have to start now with this
Oh.
new policy in
I
effect.
believe that was the question.
I'm gonna put my transportation knowledge in. It'll save 25 minutes of bus runs. For elementary to go down in the morning and middle, high school to go down in the afternoon. That's 25
each
minutes,
day, or
25 minutes a day in the morning, 25 minutes in the afternoon. Save ride for those kids that are on a bus. Another thing, it'll bring siblings together all under one roof. Parents will know that the kids are all in one building, not have to worry about being down here for, over here for 245 or 250, released down there at 3. They have one building that's covered.
Okay. Anyone else?
I don't feel,
sorry, no, you go ahead.
I don't feel like I have all the information at this point to make a well-informed decision,
Oh, I don't think we're gonna make any
or
decision.
even opinion, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there are definite benefits of consolidating all of the students together. I mean, you gain, flexibility to provide more opportunities for kids, I imagine, with the staff and teachers, the camaraderie, the sense of one culture, I think probably improves. And I'm sure there are countless other benefits, but I definitely have concerns as well. The space being primary and number one. And I guess it's been, even round one, when I was on the facilities committee, I never felt like I really saw, this is what it would look like if we tried to do it. This is the best way we could possibly do it if we tried to do it. And that's some information that I would want to see. And maybe it has been presented, I just haven't seen it. I think it has been put together.
Now, I don't know if you've ever presented information to see if you did have to do it, say an emergency happened at Lakeview Building and you needed to get those students out of there and it was going to be a timely period before they would be allowed back. We have to bring them here. We should have an emergency plan in place and some kind of a scheduling to bring those students over to this building. Could we look into
Both
that?
buildings are just for that.
Excuse me?
Both scenarios are just for that.
It could be, yeah, it could
Yeah,
be
for
either way.
both.
Well,
It
for,
could be either way.
to actually move the students here. Now, I know that there are modifications that could be made to our current usage of space at the Mountain View building that could accommodate most, if not all, of the students. If additional space was needed, we could always rent portable classrooms temporarily until the construction was done. Okay, this would result in a huge cost savings to our district. Dr. Myers has stated that over time, the amount of savings from closure to Lakeview building would result in about $3 million a year. That money could be put toward the cost of the building construction, toward the purchase of land for our athletic fields, or a new bus garage. So I'm not saying there's no decision that will be made tonight. I think we just need to start having a conversation and start exploring these options to see what is beneficial to the district and to the students. I understand that there are some concerns regarding how it's going to affect children, but I think if we have a plan in place, we can do it in a manner in which It will not be detrimental to the students. It will be advantageous if we do put a plan in place and really give it a lot of forethought rather than doing it as a last minute thing. So in summarizing, anyone else would like to contribute?
Yeah, Dr. Meyer, before we had our capital project vote, you did a public presentation on this topic where you had like the room overlays showing how there were not enough. It's not about square footage, it's about having enough actual classrooms. Any chance you saved that 15?
Yeah, so, and just to kind of summarize that, one of the examples that I like to say is that we have plenty of desks here. We have plenty of square footage here to do that, and probably true for the other campus as well. But Mr. Fiegel's here, so I'll pick on him for a second, right? If he's teaching a physics class with 10 kids in there, and there's an empty 10 desks, that doesn't mean we can put 10 first grade students in those desks. That's not how that works. So no one has ever argued that it's a desk or a square footage issue. It's just the way the rooms are laid out. So what we've been able to demonstrate is that if you want to, we could go down to one section of elementary and cut all the electives and opportunities for students, and we'd save a ton of money. But that's not good for anybody. So
No, I think
So-
maybe we just need to look and
Sure.
see,
sure,
if there's a way to do it, that it would not be detrimental to the student's
I
education.
don't fully understand that impact, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a board member at this table that wants to move on something that's gonna negatively impact the
No.
students.
Absolutely not.
Have we ever had a space study done in either building, both buildings? I've seen the list of how many students per class, like grade level class, not just like.
To be honest, it's scheduling, right? It's scheduling.
Yeah, you're talking about half as many gyms and half as many cafeterias.
Well, I'm just wondering if we have a done space study.
yeah. I would have to look. I don't know if we've done like an official like space study, but we have done a lot of things where we've studied the space.
Yeah, I've seen the
yeah,
list of,
yeah,
in this
but-
building,
yeah.
the teachers and what they teach and how many they have per
Sure.
period and all that stuff, but.
Yeah, I understand.
Sounds
Yep.
great on paper, but I know.
Yeah. Perhaps we could do
Yeah.
a space study
Writing it down.
and just to see what our options are for the future.
Does that go to the facilities committee or want another committee to take a look at this? How do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
Well,
I mean, we
I
should
don't
take
know.
a look at it, but how do we
how do we
want to proceed?
proceed?
Can I
But-
make a
Yes.
recommendation
Sure.
that why don't you give me a month to get into it, and we will continue with the discussion in September.
In September, that's a good idea, okay? So Dr. Meyer will explore the situation, do a space study, and then we'll continue the discussion under old business in September. Okay, all right, moving right along to number 16, superintendent's update.
Well, we have board meeting location and setup.
Number 2 there.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, number 2, board meeting location and setup under 15.2, I'm sorry. Dr. Meyer, did you want to discuss that?
That was.
Oh.
that was your request.
Oh, okay. We had talked before the Board of Education that we would, under the advisement of many people in the audience, that they would like to have the board meeting set up in a room that was set up for the audience that was attending so that they would not be squeezed in. And also to have microphones so that everyone in the audience could hear the entire proceedings. So we are looking to your advice how this can be done for the future. Now, I know this meeting could not be set up in the auditorium here at Mountain View because of the floor problems, the resurfacing of the flooring for this time. But in the future, could we perhaps look at setting our meetings up in a larger room and one that had microphones set up so everyone could hear?
So, short answer is yes, but, there's a little bit more to it. So I will tell you that, so both this room and the library and Lakeview, we've not exceeded the capacity of either room. We don't typically have come anywhere near exceeding the capacity of either room. And they're generally easier to set up for our custodial staff. So that being said, we can certainly regularly use the auditorium spaces on two conditions. I refuse to displace a student for a board meeting. I'm not doing it.
That's understandable,
and,
absolutely.
And the sound system, you know, when typically we needed it, you know, a couple times a year, this is a regular thing. The board needs to consider offering this as a stipend position for someone to set up. To expect someone to do that,
Okay,
that's a big ask.
is that agreeable with everyone, that we should have some type of a stipend for someone to set up the microphones? Maybe someone could be trained, I don't know.
So this person do one school or do both schools?
I would think it's one person, but, you know, I think it depends a little bit on who's interested.
Okay, well, could you look
Yeah,
into that
yes,
then, see
yes.
it, see if there is an interest and
Yes.
anyone doing that?
There's not a public comment as well, so we welcome comments from those that attend regularly as to the venue.
Excuse me?
I was saying the public there's another public comment session on the agenda, so if anyone has input, we would welcome it.
Okay. All right, now we are on 16, right? Okay. Superintendent's update. A, district's wide safety plan. The district superintendent, am I on the right
Yeah,
section?
yeah, I'm just gonna skip to
Okay.
that slide real quick.
Superintendent recommends the approval of the district-wide school safety plan revised June 2025 as presented. So we
Yep.
can,
So there were just two very, very minor changes in the district safety plan. The nursing home was still listed as Horace Nye, where the current name is Essex Centers, so we made that change. And then for whatever reason, the phone number for the town of Lewis was not included, and it is now included. So again, two very minor changes. And so with that, I would recommend the approval of that plan.
okay, do I have a motion to approve the district-wide safety plan? Okay, thank you. And a second? Second, thank you, Tom. All in favor? Any discussion, first of all? Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right, 16B, superintendent's report.
Okay, great. So grants update. So Mr. Kyler is here. So Mr. Kyler, if you don't mind, for you to speak to this.
So our UTK grant, the allotment is slightly higher this year than it was last year, just to reflect on higher UTK enrollment. That's what we submitted by the end of the month. The ESSA title was previously done. The title grant allotments for Title II and IV were just released by the federal government a couple weeks ago. So now we can work on those grants and we'll submit those by the end of the month. And the IDEAs, as well as the 17 grants, previously not submitted. The other grants I want to touch on, the Adirondack Foundation, we received that $10,000 generous acts grant for literacy. So you may see on social media, all the bookshelves have been put in local businesses, and we plan for literacy and numeracy nights throughout the year at Lakeview campus, and it's all supported with that $10,000 grant from the Adirondack Foundation. And there'll be some articles in the Press Republican, so I can be used in the coming days to talk about that. And you have a handout in front of you about the Four Winds Nature Institute program. That is a program that was From a teacher at the Lakeview campus to bring to our school. Last month, I incorrectly said it's a curriculum. It's not a curriculum. It's a program that supports our existing curriculum and supports existing science standards. The exciting thing is when I found out about this, I found out after budget season. So Dr. Meyer gave me permission to go ask somebody for some money, and JC Westfall Communications, without hesitation, agreed to pay for the program in full for this school year, which is really exciting. So in exchange, they would just like their logo on marketing, and on the program flyers that we sent out. Have a informational meeting coming up in a couple of weeks for the parents, the family members that are sort of leading the programs in the classroom, pre-K through grade 5.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
How, are you doing with the volunteer numbers? Do you have enough?
Yeah, so right now we have 1 per grade level. We need at least 2. So we're going to have a meeting and see. We may have to shift it to this pre-K through grade 2, depending on the volunteers. So the grade levels will combine for the program, each one. So we may get 5 or 6 more.
Okay, so just a couple updates, capital project, update for you. So again, this continues the work of the facilities committee. The proposal that was approved tonight for both a geotechnical investigation where they do soil borings and then a site survey, which is a topographical survey. Both those are on the agenda tonight. The first with ATL, which is a company we worked with in the past, and the second for AES, which I don't know if Mr. Jackson getting paid to wear that shirt here tonight, but repping them hard. And then finally, the energy performance contract here. If you remember, this was approved in the spring. I want to say in April. I believe in April it was approved. So the project is now at State Ed for process review, and we're awaiting a vote date. I just want to continue to say this. The way the EPC vote works is very different from a capital project. So the board approved the EPC, the energy performance contract. That is happening. If that happens, we get reimbursed at 80.1% of the rate. If the community votes and approves it, we get an additional 10%. So, yep. So it's so it's 80.1% is the reimbursement rate. But if the community approves, so if there's community support, then the state bumps that up to 90.1%. So, again, we will talk way more about this, give much more specific numbers, but we're just not there yet. Like I said, it's still in front of State Ed right now, and we are, that could be anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months.
So they haven't given you any idea how long, much longer it'll be?
No, it's going to be, I think, months, right? A couple of facilities updates for you. So small project over at Lakeview campus, the ramp going down to the library, the outside door, a couple of drains put in there. Historically, there's been some flooding that gets in there. And so with these 2 drains, hopefully that helps to solve that problem. And here on Mountain View campus, the auditorium had some damage a little more than a year ago with some flooding that occurred based on a storm. And so through insurance money and FEMA money, we're able to get that fixed. And we are hoping that can get fixed here pretty soon as school is starting.
Dr. Meyer?
Yeah.
The root cause of that damage, has that been mitigated now?
On this campus?
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the drains in one of the custodial closets backed up, and so the flooding came from there.
Okay.
Yeah. One more item here for you. There's a CVES, so our BOCES, CVES, they're having a land sale that every resident, so every resident of the BOCES, not just our district, of the BOCES, you have the opportunity to vote on this. It's a public vote on August 26th to authorize the sale of 15 acres of BOCES owned land in Plattsburgh. So the BOCES is selling it to the county, to Clinton County for $420,000. The land was originally purchased in 2020 for $8,000 per acre and is now being sold at fair market value at $28,000 per acre. The proceeds go back to the 16 component districts. So assuming this passes, and we as a district, we were part of one of the 16 component districts, part of that purchasing. So we, along with our 15 other districts, paid the $8,000 per acre, and now the county is deciding to need that land back. So we're selling that back 5 years later for $28,000. So making a little bit of money on that sale. So we'll get our percentage of that. It is not 1/16 of that. There's a formula, both for the purchasing and for the selling of how that works, but we'll get a little bit of money back for that. So that's presuming that it goes through. Voting will take place 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Learning Hub in Plattsburgh and also in Mineville. My understanding, so all the information is on their website. The website's up there, but if you just go to their website, you can see. My understanding is regardless of where you live, you can vote in either location. You, of course, cannot, go to both locations. And I believe that's it. Any questions? Our next meeting is second Thursday in September. At that meeting, just as a quick reminder, we usually invite our new employees to that meeting, where they can meet the board members. And so we'll hope to see everyone there to meet our new employees. Any questions?
Were you going to discuss the grant update, or was that?
Oh,
We already
Mr.
did that.
Kyler did
Okay.
that.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
I do have a question about the youth behaviors, right? We can accept outside students, outside district students, I thought.
Yeah, so it's a little complicated. We just were approved. We got the final approval from New York State to operate an integrated pre-K, which allows us within a certain ratio to accept the out-of-district students and get fully reimbursed by the county. Okay. So that rate has not been set by New York State yet, so we don't know what that reimbursement rate is, but there's a ratio. You cannot bump the Boquet Valley student except Wilkesboro students, for example, but yes, we can for pre-K accept out-of-district students.
And is that separate from the rest of the school?
So this is like a separate on paper, right? But
Yeah,
the
the
pre-K students wouldn't know what piece of paper got them into the program.
Yeah,
that
no,
what you
the
mean?
policy, I mean, we don't accept out
Oh,
of
right,
district students in the rest of the school. That was really the question.
Right, totally different, yes.
And they would provide their own transportation, like we're not transporting the out of district.
Yeah, in exchange for being reimbursed by the county, they cover everything as far as it's called staff reimbursement and transportation. They give us money and they cover everything. And there's an exchange for that.
So if the child lived in Wilkesboro, we'd have to pick that child up.
They provide transportation.
Oh, they provide it, okay.
It's amazing. It's very, very beneficial for the families, for the school. It's mutually beneficial. The fact that we were approved for this program is like very, very big, exciting news. It's great.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Now it is time for number 17, public comment. Letter A. Our agenda offers 2 public comments sections. Opinions, ideas, and concerns that are offered by the public will be considered and taken under advisement. We have set aside a 15-minute period giving the audience time to share their thoughts with us. Please raise your hand to be acknowledged by the board president. When called upon, please identify yourself and give your address, limiting your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any comments? Yes, Brooke.
Brooke Beaton Lewis. I just want to commend the board for thinking ahead to have a plan in place to get those kids moved over here, because you don't know if that addition is going to be approved. And you don't know because it's hooked with the money for improvements on Mountain View. Those are hooked together, right? Those referendums are hooked together. In May of 26, the vote for the addition and improvements.
I don't know if
for
we've
Mountain
actually
View?
planned that out yet, have we?
Are they hooked together or are they gonna be different referendums?
She's
for the
saying
vote?
the money for the renovations.
The renovations for Mountain
For
View.
Mountain View. And the
And the
money for
addition, is
the
it one
addition,
total or
the
two
construction. Are they gonna be two separate issues to vote on, or are they tied together, is what she's asking?
He's looking like I'm talking Greek.
So are a couple of them. So yeah. So I just want to make sure. So you're asking if the money we get from the state is tied to a public vote?
No,
No, no,
no,
no.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about next May of 26 is the vote for the facilities, outcome of that committee to build a new addition for the grade school.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And money for improvements here at Mountain View, like the boiler, the roof, or whatever it happens to be. But I got the impression it was booked as one referendum,
We could do it as 10 referendums.
because what I'm saying is, if the public, the community votes that addition down and the money booked for improvements on this campus, they both go away. Because you don't know that the towns are going to approve that addition. Personally, I believe that this school with 3 new additions since I was in school, there's plenty of space in this place. This one being a good example. We're in a classroom. Why is the secretary of a classroom as an office and the superintendent a classroom as an office? It's too much space. In today's age, when you really need a computer, maybe a file cabinet, a desk, it's too much space that these are being used for. The old classrooms, counselors have a classroom. Do they need that space? Do they need that many couches? You know, and I'm glad that the board is got a plan to have a plan B, because you don't know if it's gonna get voted. Yes. The last one got voted down by a very large portion, the new campus. So I'm glad to see that you have to have a plan in place if it doesn't work your way.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We'll certainly take it under consideration. Anyone else? Yes, Mrs.
My name is
Broderick.
Sheriff Broderick, and I live in Westport. And I would also like to address this idea of moving all the students to this campus. I have sat on facilities committee a number of times, first in Westport and the last 2 recent facilities committees for the first district. I do realize that there are concerns, valid concerns, about the conditions of the building in Westport. However, this Board of Education, or the Board of Education, approved the recommendations of the most recent facilities committee, which was to build an addition and do renovations to this building, which recognizes the fact that there isn't enough room in this building for all of the students with the curriculum as it stands. It is true that there are secretaries in a classroom. It is true that there is a superintendent in a classroom, but there are not enough extra classrooms to bring all those students here. These people are using classroom spaces now because they're available, not because they are choosing to displace students.
Thank you for your
There is-
comments.
There is a need to consider an emergency placement in one location or the other in an emergency. And in those cases, you make accommodations, but it is not in the best interest of the student or the current curriculum to try to shove everybody into this building before it's ready and before there is additional space built.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Elaine? Yes, Mrs. Rice.
Sarah Rice, I live in Westport. In the audience here tonight, there are 5 fewer people than my largest elected this year. Bridge credit, because their schedules like what, you know. I don't have a microphone. I can see 12 empty chairs in this room. The Board of Education is concerned that this space is not adequate for adults to be autonomy and get up and leave whenever they feel like it. How can we expect less for our students than what the people in front of us except for themselves? I don't have microphones. We're always low capacity in these meetings. They've not capacity in any of these rooms. We've not broken any laws that we're supposed to abide by. We have plenty of space. I think my students are the most important audience that ever sits in the classroom. And what you're saying is it's more than adequate to have all of the students K through 12 in Boquet Valley in the building. I find it darkly and sadly ironic that in the same evening we're having a conversation about inadequate circumstances for further education and be members of your body. But I suppose it won't be as much of an issue because I can assure you the first thing that will go should be to all students of this building are the electives and public speaking because it's not what students fight for. Will no longer be able to do this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Like Daniel and West Forest. Parliamentary procedure is really hard. I get that. It's cumbersome, but I believe that is what you guys are using to run your meetings. Agenda item 7 through 12, there was a motion, there was a second, there was no discussion. Thank you, Darlene, for picking that up. I have agenda item 13. However, it goes both ways. When you ask Josh to do something, you need to call for a motion and a second. So when you ask Josh to set up all the text stuff, that needs to go the same way. Whenever you have action items on the table through parliamentary procedure, you need a motion and a second and a discussion. As far as I understand it. Now, if you guys are going to get an amended version of that, it's good to know. Secondly, I am on several volunteer groups like all of you are, and we appreciate the work that you do. However, it is disheartening as a member of the community to listen to you say, we had tech problems. That should not be at the meeting. We don't accept that for our students. So we shouldn't accept that for you as well. When you show up at the meeting, you should be, if you had a tech problem and getting to your folder, deal with that before you get to the meeting. We can't sit here and listen to you guys tell us that, oh, I couldn't look at this because I had a tech problem. Well, that shouldn't be the excuse that you're using the day of the meeting. Solve that before you come to the meeting. And I have one more thing I was going to say about this. Remember what it is right after that.
Okay. I do need to add to that, to clarify that there are a number of people that have been having tech problems that have expressed these concerns, and it's not the first time that we're expressing it. So that has been expressed before. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, Sarah Kuzak. I live in Westport. First of all, because you asked for input, I think that this room is fine and the library at the other campus is fine for school board meetings. As an audience member, I can always hear what people are saying, and I hear it better in a smaller room than when we have used the auditoriums with microphones for all the facility committee meetings and all the larger meetings. I actually find it more difficult to hear in those rooms. That's just my experience. The other thing I will say is that I was at the presentation where Mr. Meyer walked through this building site plan. We can't turn these 2 classrooms into 14. We need 14 rooms to bring the littles over here. I'm a mother of 2 young children. I understand that that other campus is not ideal for their health and for their safety. However, I also understand that we're working on building something better for them and that they will eventually be in a facility that is better for them. But I can tell you right now, if I had my choice as a parent, I would 100% never, ever support bringing them over here and smushing them together and putting them, instead of having 12 people in their class or 15 people in their class, to have 30 in their class. Okay? That's the number one thing we have going for us as a district, is our teacher to student ratio. And I can tell you this, if you actually support the education of the children in this district and all the needs that are coming our way, that we have in our district, that are coming down the pipeline, you would acknowledge the fact that the cuts to curriculum are not just in electives and choice for students. That would also mean that we're putting students in classrooms like my students, my children's teachers here today, because I'm sure talk to you afterwards about the difference between having 13 kids in a room and having 26 of those same age children in the same size room. We don't teach like we do anymore for a reason. Education has evolved. We have tried to evolve with it. So please, let's not go backwards, okay? Let's try to maintain the status as much as we can and plan for the future. And I agree that in an emergency, we need to have a backup plan, but it sure as heck sounds to me that this is not an emergency contingency plan that's happening here. This is people saying that they believe that we can all just fit in here eventually and that they want to vote on that. And I'm telling you right now that people will leave this district if that's what you decide.
Can I just clarify for you that there are contractual items for the teachers regarding class size? So that is not something that we're looking at, because teachers have in their contracts the number of students that they can have, the maximum number.
So then we don't have enough rooms in this building is what I'm saying. We don't have those rooms. And unless you want to knock out a bunch of walls and make a bunch of smaller classrooms, which I would love to see the price tag on that versus building new and getting more state aid for a new building, these numbers can be run. So please run the numbers before you use numbers from decades ago to inform the decisions that you make that will impact not only the kids in the district now, but the potential for your town to have families in the future.
And thank you for your input. We will certainly take it under advisement. Okay, any other comments? Yes, Mr. Hooper.
All over the Russian New York. Just like to say that having a speaker system, being able to hear is not going to break things. And before, when you hear the rumors in the public and you hear it in the school, if you don't get the word out and you don't get the meetings out there, what took place and stuff like that, so people understand, you might be surprised. They might just support a larger school for one school, but they're not going to support anything that you keep from them and you don't let them hear. You know, when those things are out there, you're hearing this and you're hearing that, when people don't want you to know something, it's usually a sign that, you know, it's not good. And those systems aren't that much money, and I'm sure portable systems could be taken down, dropped back here, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Fiegel.
My name's Jason Fiegel, I'm in Essex. Appreciate the board trying to figure things out. Appreciate the community that comes to try to figure things out. Just showing up and care, group time. So figuring it out together. I like that. I really love our communities. I have for a long time. Put a lot of effort into them. Mr. Fenton said that there's plenty of room for 450 people in Elizabeth Town. There always has been. He also said that there's not like a lot of people are coming to these towns. So I think that attitude is what discourages us from kind of having a vision, because I know there's a lot of young families that have a lot of energy for the children and they want the best for them. So before we just say, you know, let's make this decision or that decision, I would really encourage everyone on the board and in the community to do the research for what it takes to teach students nowadays compared to 50 years ago, and the mandates that are there for spaces and such. I think that's very important. And so much time has been spent to fix these things already. You know, the K-12 building, well, you mentioned how it's ideal to have everybody in one place. It does great stuff. That got voted down, and so now we're adjusting and trying to do that again. So with the spot that we're at, can we please give the kids more and more and more than what they have now, instead of that would be great. And I encourage people to do the research to find old facility committees, talk to people on the facility committees, because some questions that are asked have already been answered. So it'd be great to gather up that information from the hard work that, you know, the facility committees have done and people in the community have done. So I encourage it for.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm going to trust the list. So I'm very concerned with the amount of misinformation that is going around. So 450 students apparently fit in this building and always has been bringing that up. So my internet only let me go as back as far as 2012 to 2013, or now there's 278 kids in the school. Now that was what, over 10 years ago. Okay, so as we've been talking about, education has evolved. We're no longer lecturing students in front of us. We're differentiating the classroom. We're applying the information so that we produce good students, students qualified and ready for college. I brought my children here because of the student teacher ratio. That's why I'm here. When I was a teen back in 2010, when Elizabethtown had about the same number of students, Elizabethtown residents were sending kids to Keene for a better education. I don't want to hear about that. We have excellent teachers. We have hardworking teachers. I love this community. I love this group of teachers and administrators. And I think we should honor the work that we do, that they do. And we should start focusing on how we, give more to the students. Look at the facilities committee. They have online on the Boquet Valley School District website. There's all of the presentations, real information in it. There's all of the minutes, real information in it. I ask you to go look at that information instead of just listening to people around you with arbitrary numbers. I have looked at the map. I can't read what the map is for. I think it would be very helpful just for me to get an idea. I would like to see a map of how many classrooms we have and, maybe just a little idea of a mock schedule of what these classrooms are used for, because as facilities committee people have mentioned, there may only be 4 extra rooms. We can't fit 14 classes in those rooms. So this is 25 to 30 kids per class we're asking for our students to fail. And that is incredibly disheartening.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Mrs. Rice?
If we do get a presentation of a math report, I think it's really difficult because you could quite easily put English classroom on my room. It is also a test accommodation room, but it's a structured study hall room, AIS classroom. It is a model unit debate room. It wears a lot of hats and has a lot of reasons. And I will tell you, over the course of last year, I may have had 10 periods throughout the entire year, which would have been identified as teacher preparation periods where my room is not utilized. So right now, what sometimes teachers will leave their teaching space to go into a room that is not permissible for student use because of the size of the department to do work in there so that our classrooms can be used. So I think that gets a little tricky with the public too. So if I get an assessment, it's not unusual in my classroom in order to be accommodation for our students need for 5 or 6 students to exit all meeting their own location and their own provider in those locations. So I think it's really tricky. It's easy to label as English room, but it is a whole host of other things. And so it's pretty uncommon to be a lot of work that they're just being used constantly for locker room.
Thank you for the information. Yes.
Just to add to that, we are legally obligated to give accommodations to children with IEPs and 504s if they have a testing accommodation. That is legally binding. Right now, during state assessments, for instance, when it is full grade levels, sometimes 3 grade levels testing at once, we use every single nook and cranny. I tested in Dr. Meyer's office. I tested for a whole week, giving accommodations in that room. There was someone else in this room with students. That's not ideal because it's, 2 humans in this large space, but that's what I'm talking about in terms of the many ways that education has evolved. And it would be much smarter if we could have a building or a facility that eventually K through or pre-K through 12 facility that took into account things like testing accommodations. That legality is not going in there. We're not getting workarounds for that. So I just, please be aware of that fact, that there are all of these nuances of how these rooms are utilized throughout the day, depending on the week, depending on the.
Thank you. That, I just might feel the need to add that, you know, I was a former educator and I retired in 2011. And all of the things that you mentioned were in place back then as well with the testing and modification. So that has been in place for quite some time. It's not really something that's brand new. Yes.
I'm sorry, can I just, because it's what you're talking about. So right now we have 61 students who require separate location for testing. So that doesn't mean that you take the group of 5, bring as a group of 5 somewhere. That's 61
Individual,
separate.
so they can't be.
61 students qualify for separate locations. Some of those are individual. So there's a full breakdown in the report that I gave you, but the number 61.
Okay.
So my only point is it's a thing.
Right. Yeah, I do know that. All right. Thank you. Yes.
I say our group is in the last, like, 20 years here. Special education, that landscape is very different than it was, upon your retirement. That has changed, tremendously. And the other thing I would want to say is that I think that one of the things that the educators are doing a fine job with is maintaining confidentiality and integrity for students who have accommodations, so that they are not shoved in some closet somewhere to take an assessment because we're checking a box. I think that we need to provide them with the same classroom spaces as the other students who are in a regular classroom. We are definitely going to run into situations where that is impossible to do. And I think this needs much of that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Rice. We will certainly take all of this information into consideration when we're making decisions. Yes, Mr. Jackson.
Time enough.
Excuse me.
I can't speak to current curriculum post-merger. I realize that it's expanded greatly from the time I was in school. SED requires considerable things that put a great strain on the school districts. I can speak to pre-merger numbers and the fact that pre-merger numbers, which I believe are very close to current student enrollment. At that point in time, we were accommodating everyone quite nicely with the one cafeteria and now 2 gymnasiums here as opposed to the one small one that we had earlier on. The issue that the public that interacts with me speaks to are things like they don't take care of what they got. Why are we trying to build new? The degradation of the school bus garage, which has been pointed out, it was an existing problem. It's not Dr. Meyer's initial problem, but it's something that needs to be addressed right now. The roof is deteriorated on the one portion now bad enough that this past fall, it blew the siding off of it, which I'm sure is impacting other interior portions of it. We're not dealing with stuff like that. The public drives by it every day and sees it. The board is heading in the right direction by at least taking the time to put a committee together and review classroom space, hopefully interacting with SED, because there are rooms, and maybe it's not a perfect scenario, but there are rooms that will facilitate one-on-one testing in a much smaller room that are available and currently being used for storage if SED permits the use of that type of room for these different deals. I applaud the comments I heard earlier by a non-curriculum specific room being used throughout the day for multiple functions, which is the way a room should be used. Maximize the utilization of all of these rooms. And you need to put a plan together because there is the possibility that when the thing comes up for vote, it's going to get voted down again. And when that happens, I don't know how that impacts the timeline on the allotted merger percentages. With whether we can jump in quick and get move forward with something else to get out before the voters. But if this thing goes down, we're going to be looking at another period of time to either stay in the situation we've got between 2 schools or have a plan in place to utilize this to the best of the ability.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson. Yes, one more question?
Yeah, so you can't tell me that there's only one for the building that's being used for all those different functions. I really think we need the visual aid. Like, I really would love to see a map with all the functions in every room, because I don't know how you guys are gonna shove kids here. I don't. Also, can we talk about the pre-K? What's gonna happen in pre-K? They have different standards to be here. Are we gonna lose that program altogether? That helps the parents in our community work. That helps, foster students that are ready for kindergarten. Just something else to throw in there.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
Other thing,
Mrs. Beaton?
just want to tell the board that different rooms can be used for different things. When I was at the hospital, I was utilization review, risk management, and discharge planning. And you know what my room was, my office? It was a bathroom. A bathroom. And that was my office, but it didn't affect what I did. I still was able to do my discharge planning, risk management. It was a bathroom. I had a toilet, but it didn't work. It was unhooked. I couldn't see what was going on outside because I had no window. I had to go out in the patient's hallway and look out the window. Oh, yes, it's snowing. Oh, okay. But that's what I'm saying, that you can put people in a small room and it doesn't affect what they do. I don't think my evaluations were fine after I got moved to the bathroom. That was my office. I did my job and I did it well.
Thank you.
There.
Anyone else? Yes.
I want to say really quickly, I understand the need to plan for a contingency, like if in 2026, the voters say no to the referendum. However, if this is the referendum that the board has approved from the facilities committee that works all year with public input, you know, we have plenty of public input or opportunities for that. What I would hope is that whatever plans y'all are signing off on, that you push it out in the community, that you are behind this enthusiastically, that you are not whispering about contingency plans at one side of your mouth and on the other side saying, oh, well, here you go. Sorry. Like, if this is the plan that you really want to do with the addition, then please be the ones, be the leaders in our community, getting the word out to people about why this is the best plan. And I know some of y'all sat in those meetings, every single one, and you all came to the table and said, yes, this is the plan. I know there was some dissent, but overall you voted yes on this. So please be the leaders our community needs, and getting out the information that needs to get out there so we don't shoot ourselves in the foot before the vote even comes. I think that's what we need the most, is we need everybody talking to as many people as they can and getting good information out. But it comes first from the board, because this is your plan. The facilities plan that you voted already approved last spring, that is the plan in terms of money, unless the plan is gonna shift greatly. That's the plan that my understanding is what we're moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've had a lot of very good input from, and I thank you all for your willingness to speak.
You still have.
Oh, we still have another one? Okay, Shira?
Sarah Broderick, Westport, New York. First of all, I want to ditto what Sarah has just said. Again, having served on the facilities committee, it would be incredibly disappointing to me personally if this board put out a referendum that they didn't support verbally in the community. If this is what you are asking the community to vote on, you have got to be the leaders in letting people know that this is the best plan for our school going forward at this point. I also want to say, in response to Mrs. Beaton, that when I was teaching in Willsboro, I was a resource teacher. My classroom was in the boiler room. Do you think that was fair to my students? It does make a difference where you are and what space you are teaching in, and what space you are learning in, because you are sending a message to those kids that they don't count. It does matter where they are.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we have probably time for one more comment. Yes.
Heather Reynolds, Westport, New York, former board member for 6 years. I was going to say similar to what Sarah Shira did. I'm very concerned that few of our board members don't support the plan going forward, and they're looking at this contingency plan to use as a problem solve for everything. And I'm really disappointed that our board and the attendance at our meeting has been overcome with people that are highly negative. And instead of supporting and doing better for the school, we're trying to do less for our students, do less for our students. I understand we're in difficult financial times, but our future shouldn't have to pay for that. So I'm not going to say any more about that. But what I will say is also, we host a new visions program in this building for CPPS for the entire southern part of the county, where these students who have medical aspirations for their careers, they're able to spend their day here for classroom and at the local hospital, which is steps away to do training and advanced curriculum. We would not be able to post that by bringing people here. So these students would have to be displaced somewhere else, or maybe perhaps that program would not be able to survive because they have to have close proximity to the hospital. So there's a lot of people saying. I want to what everyone else said. I just felt that was forgotten.
Thank you very much. Okay, as I said, I think that there's some wonderful comments, and we certainly will take all of this into consideration. I think our purpose for the discussion, I just want to verify that, was to have a plan in place in case it never hurts to plan ahead. Okay, it's not that we're not supporting what the facilities committee has proposed. If the community supports that, which we hope that they will, then yes, we will move ahead. But it doesn't hurt to have an alternative plan in place in case it doesn't. We need to be looking to the future and looking for a way that if we do have to transition to this building, and if there is an emergency, that we would have a plan in place to do so effectively and with a minimal amount of disturbance to the students, the faculty, and the staff. Yes, I'm gonna do one more and then that's it. We have to continue on because we're over 15 minutes now. But go ahead.
Say, here's my confusion. When I was at the beginning of this particular proposal for that discussion, when in fact, the board member talked about that on the agenda. You can understand why the split is a little bit confused about our status of all this, because that in fact is not a rumor. That is a specific example of what somebody on the organization looking for something that is confusing to the public. So I would just say clarifying those sorts of things ahead of this meeting might make it easier for the public to understand.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to continue on with number 18, executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering into executive session for the following reason. A, number 6, to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or persons. And number 2, the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition, sale, or exchange of securities, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value of these things. Okay, do I have a motion to enter into executive session? Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Tom.
We're gonna be making any decisions after this executive session, or no decision gonna be made?
I do not believe that we will be making any decisions after the executive session, and it may prove to be lengthy, so some of you may not want to stick around. It's entirely up to you, but it will be a lengthy session. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion accepted. Okay.